going back to when you first created the series, I mean, I often ask people for their favorite piece of LGBTQ culture, and so many people have told me that the first time they saw themselves on screen was in Noah's Ark. And I wondered for you, when you were creating the show, how far you wanted to, create something where you could see yourself on screen that you weren't seeing at the time in entertainment.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of my whole mission, really. I had moved to LA, gone to film school, and I was working at MTV Films at the time. And I, a friend said to me, actually, Ricky Beadle Blair, British filmmaker, theater writer. I was like, oh, I'm trying to decide what to write, and he said, write the story that only you can tell. And that really struck me. And I wrote the script for Punks like really quickly. And then, Punks was at Sundance in 2000, and then it came out in 2001, and then it just kind of like it didn't really open doors for me. Not really. And so that was 2001. I guess it was a couple of years later, I had kind of, I kind of been I developed a couple of things, that didn't get made or whatever. And then I was just kind of like, okay. I think it was LA Black Pride weekend. And I went to the opening night party and I was just kind of struck with the idea to do that. No one was doing programming about our community. So that's when the idea came to me. Oh, Black Gay Sex in the City. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to do it. So I just literally, that was a Friday night. I think I put casting notices in on backstage on Sunday. I hadn't even written a script yet. And then I just started the process. We did I cast it and shot the first short film. It was all, and then I started raising money. It was really like a very grassroots, but very much born out of, a desire to see myself and people like me, on screen.
Yeah. And here we are, 20 years on. What
Yeah.
would it been like to see these characters, and I guess the actors who played them as well, kind of age and grow and evolve like over these 20 years?
Um, it's cool, I mean, it's like I've done a lot of other work in recent years, and other things. So it was really nice to kind of return to it, but at the same time, it's kind of like a family reunion, because we've all been through this whole process together. So it's nice to be able to to continue telling these characters stories. They're in a different age bracket now, so it's kind of cool to be telling stories about, grown gay men, middle-aged gay men, raising kids, having families, all of that stuff. So again, it's like the idea that us seeing ourselves reflected, it not only helps people in their own lives because it shows them what's possible for themselves. You know what I mean? And so I think it's really important. So we just had a great time. It's also about kind of honoring the culture, Black gay culture. So there's a lot of stuff in the film, that I think really kind of honors the culture. There are a lot of little touches and things that I think people will enjoy. So yeah, we had a ball.
Yeah. And talking about things that we don't see often enough on screen, I think watching this, it made me realize like it's all too rare, really, that we see Black queer men having sex on screen still, even in 2025. I wondered how far you'd agree with that, and kind of what you wanted to do with the sex scenes, your approach to the sex scenes in this particular movie or in Noah's Ark in general.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum because, I keep saying I'm going to put together a list. I'm going to have to put together a list. But here's the thing. We have a lot of gay programming that we see now, right? Just like we see, even in this moment, there's Overcompensated, there's English Teacher, there's, there are all these shows all the time. Rarely do we see Black gay characters. And when we do see them, they never have Black partners. Like this is 99.9999% of the time. They never have Black partners. And I mean, I could list, I could rattle off 24 shows, movies, or whatever, where every time there's a Black gay character, they never have a Black partner. So it's hugely important to me to show that. With the sex scenes, it's also like we've kind of, when I started doing this, gay sex scenes were still a big deal. It was like, I remember getting pushback from the first episode of Noah's Ark with some of the shots in the love scene between Noah and Wade, and us kind of fighting about it, and then finally them seeing it my way. So it was really just about, so now I guess the point is we've seen so much now explored in terms of gay sex on screen. It's really just about what story am I kind of telling? If we're telling a story about a married couple that's experimenting, then, that's going to be a different love scene than, Noah and Wade, a couple who's been married for all these years and are monogamous and whatever, so it's just about, it's not so much about titillating anymore. Like in the early days of some of my work, I was really like trying to push the envelope because I felt like it needed to be pushed. Now I still think it needs to be pushed, but now it needs to be pushed in ways that are not appropriate for Noah's Ark. So, so I'll save that for some other work. But yeah, it's just nice to have kind of nice, regular, grown-up love scenes and not have any flack about it because we've kind of evolved so much over the last 20 years.
Yeah. And I think, you touched on this in terms of where the characters are in their lives, but it's also very rare, I think, that we see two expectant gay dads like on screen too. So tell me a little bit about what we're going to explore with that storyline with Noah and Wade in the movie.
Well, it's just the reality for a lot of people that I know, people in my age range. They have kids now, or they're having kids, and 2 of our cast members are fathers now, or 3 of them now. 3 of the 5 main cast members are fathers. So it felt like the natural progression for this married couple. It felt like the next step, And in when we were in the midst of the coronavirus shutdown in 2020. We produced a special called Noah's Ark, The Rona Chronicles, that's on YouTube. And in that special, Noah and Wade reveal to the friends that they are expecting a baby. And so I started playing around with the idea then. And so again, it just felt like the natural progression to have them, becoming fathers, experiencing daddy issues for the first time.
And as well as bringing the family back together, you say with the original cast, you've also got some new cast members joining this time. T.S. Madison, for one, like such a powerhouse. I love that energy that she brings. Do you want to say something about some of the new actors that you have in the movie?
Yeah, it was important to bring in some new blood and to see some new faces. So we have some wonderful new characters. There's a lovely young trans actress out of New York that's in the movie playing Alex and Trey's daughter. We have, there's a wonderful comedian and actually restaurant reviewer who goes by Kay Hood. Roll It Up K is her social media, but she has these amazing restaurant reviews that are hilarious and wonderful and all go viral. And actually, it was Darryl Stephens, who plays Noah, who suggested her when I was trying to find the actress that was going to play the surrogate. And I checked out her stuff, and I absolutely loved it. And I met with her, and she auditioned, and she's wonderful. So I'm excited to see her start a new chapter in her career. And then we have, of course, the wonderful, inimitable T.S. Madison. In the movie, we have, Alex has opened a bar, a gay bar, a drag bar, and T.S. Madison is one of the performers, and she hosts the shows in the bar. And she's just, she's a force of nature. So of course, it was a no-brainer to ask her. I was just pleased that she wanted to do it. And then we've got some legendary faces Jasmine Guy, of course, of A Different World fame, and T.C. Carson of Living Single fame. So it was really, really cool to be able to include, some of my TV heroes, and the excitement that everyone on set felt when those two were around was really nice to see.
Yeah, and I love the scene set in Bhutanani's, like the dance scenes and the drag performances, and then also at the slumber party, there's a really fun like sing along as well. What were those sort of ensemble scenes like to shoot for the film? It must have been a lot of fun.
They were a lot of fun. I've always, since Punks, in my very first film, Punks has drag, a lot of drag performances. And I really always wanted to elevate drag because the drag that I enjoyed the most was always, it wasn't just for camp and comedy. It was like they took it seriously. If they were playing a diva, they were doing choreography and costumes, and it was everything. So that's the drag that I know and love, and the drag that I wanted to show and continue to show. And at the same time, paying tribute to one of my favorite artists, Whitney Houston, by having, performing a song that's not one of her big hit singles, but it's still an amazing song. And then Christian Vincent, who plays Ricky, he's a renowned dancer and choreographer. So he choreographed those numbers wonderfully. And we had all these amazing dancers. So I just love an entertainment spectacle. I think it's one of the things that we do best. And so I wanted to kind of highlight that. And then when we did the slumber party scene, it really was inspired by Waiting to Exhale. In fact, the costumes and the set design, everything about the table and everything is a tribute to the famous scene in Waiting to Exhale when the ladies are having a sleepover and they sing and dance and stuff. So it was in a way kind of paying tribute to that classic film, but at the same time, just continuing to show how our characters sort of show up for each other in times of need.
And some really great music choices in there. I think people are really going to enjoy that when they see the movie. And you don't disappoint us with the fashion as well. How much do you enjoy that aspect of putting together Noah's Ark and serving us the looks?
That fashion has always been an important part of Noah's Ark. I mean, I remember back in the early days, because I go to London a lot. I've been going to London for over two decades, and of course, where I've seen you. And I would go and shop for Noah. I would go to Portobello Market and different, Brick Lane, and find really cool stuff that you couldn't get anywhere. And so it was always really nice to kind of push those envelopes. And there were a lot of opinions, good and bad, about Noah's fashion sense, but the point was to kind of have fun with it. And, the recent Met Ball, they, brought back this fashion term, the dandy. And, Noah really was a dandy. And so, but the interesting thing that's happened in the last 2 decades is, fashion has, of course, evolved. We've had, starting with, Billy Porter and his insane run of fashion, moments, all the way to now Coleman Domingo and everything in between. You know what I mean? We've kind of, red carpet fashion kind of came out of the closet in a big way. So now it's nothing to see a guy in a skirt or makeup or this or that, and that kind of makes it a little difficult because you're not going to be able to shock people because there's no shocking anymore. We've been shocked. There's no more shock. We've seen it all. So it really is just about how to take this really cool fashion sense that Noah had as a young man and apply it to him now as an older man, closer to middle age. And I think we did a good job of that. So it was fun to kind of still play around and have Noah be fun and fancy free, but a bit more mature. Yeah.
And I love how one of the scenes, it's very casual. The guys are just going to get their monkeypox shot. But I like that kind of little reminder or message just to like look after ourselves and our sexual health, I don't know if
Oh yeah, that's always been another important part is HIV and sexual health and all of that. So yes, absolutely important to talk about those things for sure.
And, as I mentioned at the top, so many people have mentioned Noah's Ark as their favorite piece of LGBTQ culture or the first time they saw themselves on screen. And I wondered for you what your favorite piece of LGBTQ plus culture is. So it could be a film, TV series, book, theater, music, any piece of culture, or you might want to pick a person who identifies as LGBTQ plus. So just someone or something that's had a big impact on you and resonated with you.
Like in terms of classic or recently, or is there any kind
I
of
mean,
parameter?
if this, I'll leave it for you to choose. But I mean, something classic might be nice, something formative. But whatever's coming to you in this moment is valid.
I would say a book that I've read in recent years, in the last 5 years, that has had an incredibly profound effect on me is a book called Drapetomania, which is a weird word. It's Drapetomania. And it's by John R. Gordon, and who's British, by the way. And it is a slave narrative about two gay slaves who get separated, and the one when one of them is sold off to another plantation, and his partner decides to escape, to run away, and try to find and to reunite with his lover. And it's an epic novel. It's like but it's one of the best books I've ever read, and it's so like the idea of, because we certainly know there must have been gay people in slavery times, obviously. There's some writings about it, some historical things, but there's not a lot of information about it, but we certainly know. And this book is so like historically rich, and it's just a riveting kind of action adventure tale of this journey to find and rescue his lover. It's really wonderful.
And it sounds like a great recommendation. I'm going to be looking that up. And not spoil anything about the movie, but at the end, you leave room maybe for us to revisit these characters again. Is that something you would like to do with Noah's Ark, either in series form or with another movie?
I definitely want a series reboot. I think it's time. I think the show deserves it. I think, it's interesting. Again, like I said, I keep seeing a lot of gay programming now, but none of it's very Black at all. And, I think the response that we're getting from the fans and the viewers is evidence that, there's still a hunger for this show and to see these characters. So my hope is that when the movie premieres and it does well, because we know it's going to do well, that Paramount Plus and Showtime will do the smart, intelligent thing and bring us back, because we know that we have the viewership and the fans, and people love the show, and we've got a lot of new fans. People continue to discover the show. The younger gays continue to discover the show. So, and it's a different time, 20 years ago to now, you know what I mean, in terms of technology, in terms of our access to programming and cell phones and social media and all of that. So I think it's the right time. I think it's the right time, and I hope we do get a series reboot.
Me too. Yeah. Well, Patrik-Ian Polk, thanks so much. Great talking to you. Congratulations on Noah's Ark, the movie.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you. Nice to see you again, for sure. Thank you.